Welcome to our next episode of
Fandom
Family
Chats.
This is a production of Family Fan Clubs on Facebook. You can find us all over Facebook. You can find us all over social media under Fandom Family Chats. Look us up, get dialed in, get plugged in, and get ready to listen to some crazy people talk crazy stuff.
Welcome back to Fandom Family Chats. I'm Amanda.
I'm Eve.
And today we are, yay, I'm so excited. We're discussing Station 19 and Grey's Anatomy.
Finally.
Yay.
Amanda's only been mentioning Grey's Anatomy on every podcast recording we've done up until now. So it's about time.
I'm sorry. It is my favorite show. I can work it into my daily life every day. But first, we're going to talk about Station 19. And it was season 6 premiere. I cannot believe it's already season 6, by the way. It's still
A lot
crazy.
of our shows are in season 6.
Are they?
Yeah, this is Station 19, Resident, and 911 OG are all in season.
They are, aren't they?
Makes it nice and easy.
Huh. No. I hadn't connected them all yet, but awesome. So in the title, this one was Twist and Shout, which I think was
Appropriate.
Fitting and hilarious. All right. So unfortunately, season 5 ended with Jack quitting, driving off. So sad. But it does look like Andy is back as Lieutenant of 19, which I feel like was a long time coming. I mean, I miss Jack being a lieutenant too. I know.
But then at the same time, Andy needs to be lieutenant there. So I don't want to say I have mixed feelings, but I just want everyone who I like to be lieutenant.
I know.
I don't think that's too much to ask, because that is how it works in the real world.
Like if Jack came back, he's like, I don't want to be lieutenant, then I'd be fine with it. I think I just want them to be happy. It seems like Jack's happy enough. So
yeah, well, we'll talk about Jack in a second, but it seems like he was having a really good time. But I don't know, last season was really, really dark for Andy.
Yeah.
So I was really happy to see the silver lining coming out of it, because it opened with her doing a self-defense class.
Yes. And I thought that was so fitting and so awesome. I loved it. I loved how everybody was kind of chipping in and helping. And
well, some of them were helping. I don't think Vic and Theo were, helping.
Poor Vic.
Like Andy. I don't think they were really helping, but they were having a good time. So after everything they've gone through, it's nice to see them just, having a grand old time with each other. So I'm gonna let that be.
Yes, absolutely. It was, like you said earlier, season 5 was just so dark. I felt like it was just like hit after hit after hit. And now it's like, at least for this first episode, it just felt lighter and more fun, and people are happy. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was nice.
Most people are happy anyway.
Well, true.
But we'll talk about that. I was really curious about where Jack was going, like what his deal was, but according to him, we find out later this is not the case. He's on his way to, what was it, Kansas City, to find his foster sister. Which I did believe it at first. I don't know why I did, because it's Jack, but I did believe that at first. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. His foster sister is going to be in the picture again. But then as we find out later, I mean, that was, complete BS. Yeah.
I did not expect that. I mean, do you think we're just going to have to get it out of the way right now? Because I feel like it was my favorite part of the entire, well, it wasn't my favorite part of the episode. It was one of my favorite parts of the episode. It
was definitely one of the funnier parts of an otherwise very stressful episode.
Yeah. But it did make me a little bit sad how, the whole dark side of it, like he can't even talk to any of them and like let him know where he is. It just, breaks my heart for Jack, but what better way to find Jack than handcuffed to a bed?
And I remember I was watching live. I think you were, and so was Jeanette.
Yeah.
And you guys must have been a few seconds ahead of me because you guys were like, oh God, Jack. Oh, great. What did he do now? And then a few seconds later, I was like, yeah. I can't, I couldn't even be surprised. I mean,
I just laughed.
Like, of course he's handcuffed to the bed. I mean, that's a thing he does. That's normal for him.
I love how she's like, well, she's trying to solve this issue of his hand being crushed or something. He's like, nope, handcuff. And then they have to go outside in front of everybody to try to go get the key.
It's like he needs the key for the handcuff. She's like, oh yeah, of course. And then who was it she was talking to? Beckett or something? And then yeah, and he's just like, handcuffs? Like, it's Jack. That's the only explanation you need. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody understood.
I don't know. There's not really much else to say about that specific piece of it, but you know, it was worth bringing up because it was very it was pretty funny. It
was pretty funny. And now we know that Jack never left Seattle.
Nope. Yeah, he never left Seattle, but you know, they didn't seem upset that he is where he is, just that he lied about it. And he's
absolutely
anyone. It's like, I don't care that you're having a grand old time handcuffing yourself to a bed, but you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Andy and Vic both had really good lines that they shared with Jack before they walked out. I unfortunately don't remember what Vic's was, but Andy said something like, you know, she's going to make it her mission to save him whether he likes it or not, which was a totally Andy thing to say. Yes.
And I think she'll keep her word on that.
Well, she probably feels like she owes it to him after everything he did for her.
Yeah.
You know, in her dark times. I mean, regardless, she's going to help anyone who needs help, whether they want help or not. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think she loves Jack. They all love Jack. They're not going to ignore this.
No. So hopefully we get, you know, the Jack that, you know, this fun version of Jack is okay, but I hope we get the version of Jack that we love so much.
Yeah.
Back soon. But I feel he'll be back at the station pretty soon.
I hope so. At least seeing him more.
I'm not doing a whole season like this. Like, this is going to make me miserable. Listen to me, Shonda. No. Back.
She likes to do whatever the opposite we say, so.
Keep Jack away for a long, long time. How does that sound?
Oh, I don't know. I think if they made it clear that he's still in Seattle, I think that just kind of confirms that he's not going anywhere this season. Like, I think I can't see him being in like the first episode and then them be like, oh, nope, not here for the rest of the season. So I think that was kind of them letting us know that he's here.
Yeah, the fact that he's still in Seattle is promising because it would have been very much like him to just completely take off and run away. I was even surprised that Andy had managed to get a hold of him on the phone.
Yeah, and I mean, it seemed like he was kind of keeping in contact.
So it seems to me like he definitely still very much wants to be a part of, you know, that family, but he's just wanting to handcuff himself to beds for now. So and get stuck under trees.
How did that tree the tornado?
The tornado, yeah.
I was like, how did that tree even get in?
Like, that's a random accident. How did that happen? But that was really funny. But aside from that, the episode as a whole was so stressful. I remember texting you 15 minutes in. I was like, oh my gosh, there's still 45 minutes of this, and I'm already so stressed.
No, that was. Hold on. Oh, okay. I read something wrong. I got really confused, but then okay, never mind. Woo.
Oh, are you good?
Yeah. I was just like, wait, what? But no, I was reading it completely.
Yeah, it was so stressful. I think especially because they live in Seattle.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a meteorologist. I don't know anything about weather patterns and whatever, but how often does Seattle get tornadoes? That doesn't seem like a likely occurrence in Seattle.
I think hardly ever.
I mean, the Northwest, like that's not prime, like tornado
alley.
What is it called? Tornado alley. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Tornadoes. It says tornadoes are rare in Washington, but can and do occur. Washington averages 2.5 tornadoes per year. The entire state.
Oh, per year.
Per year. The entire state.
That sounds pretty high even for the state.
I mean, it's pretty much rain all the time.
Oh, that's true.
So, I mean,
tornadoes as bad as what happened in this episode probably don't happen terribly often, because holy cow, that what's her name, Allie in the car, that victim in the car, that was crazy. I was like, what is this?
Don't forget about the car.
Wizard of Oz. Yeah. Gosh. That poor woman though, she was obviously distressed.
Yes.
Possibly in shock.
Oh, definitely.
And she kept she was so obsessed with, needing to call Adam. Call her husband. And of course, you're in a big accident and then your car's picked up by a tornado. You want to get in touch with your husband. But in the back of my mind, I was wondering, is there an Adam? Is she so distressed, like she's naked? So throughout this whole thing, I was convinced that I was convinced that maybe this is like her ex-husband or like a boyfriend or something, but
she hit her head and forgot they broke up.
I don't know.
That'd be a whole movie.
I always assume people are lying or crazy, so that's what I was going off of.
Oh no. No, I believe there is an Adam, because she was I felt that panic of having to tell your husband you completely totaled the car, the brand new car.
I felt so terrible for her because, Andy's trying to get her out and then the tornado comes. She's like, we'll be right back. And then could you imagine? They come right back, but she's not there anymore and her car's gone.
I so thought she drove off. I was like, did she get scared and gun it, and it with the wind it helped push and she just drove off?
I thought the same thing too. I thought she just drove off. It didn't even occur to me as a possibility that the tornado just picked her up and dropped somewhere, but that is what happened, and
that's exactly what happened.
Luckily, she was dropped in a pretty opportune location, so if there ever was an opportune location to be dropped by a tornado, I mean,
let me tell you how that would never happen in real life. And I know it's a TV show. I get it. I mean, this is why I always say I like my Fantasyland. So I don't mind it being ridiculous, but even I was watching it going, what?
And it was dropped so perfectly too, upright.
I know. And she wasn't any more hurt.
Yeah, she wasn't any more hurt than she had been when she got into the car accident. Well, so I was like, well, this is nice for a happy ending, because it would have been real, a real bummer if, she didn't survive, but dang, that was a miracle.
Like Travis said, you're the luckiest woman. She really was. Travis saves the day, right? I mean, it was a coincidence.
Oh,
coincidence.
I knew that, but I was like, she has to be thinking of something else. Nope. Okay.
Nope.
Totally coincidental, but also very, very lucky.
There you go. That's what I was trying to get at. It just took me the entire time.
Thank goodness for Travis.
I know.
Poor Allie. But do we want to talk a little bit about his whole campaign? And I'm using air quotes because it doesn't seem like Vic and Theo want him to have a campaign.
Oh, I took it as they did. Like they were pushing him to do it. Like they're pushing him to go out and to do this event today.
I know someone was just not making a stand. Was it Travis who didn't want to make a stance on anything?
Yeah.
And I knew that. Okay. So yeah, he didn't want to make a stance. I'm like, dude, you are not going to help Dixon lose if you have zero stance on anything.
Yeah, like exactly.
Making him look bad while a great strategy is not enough of a strategy.
Yep. I really think after this week, he has a chance to beat Dixon.
I think so. But is Travis the only grown-up at this event? Like, what is this?
I mean, everybody. I feel like as an adult, as much as I am an adult, I think when there was a tornado siren and it got really windy, my common sense would be like, hey, let's go inside. Right?
I'd be freaking terrified. I'd be like, everyone get inside.
Yeah,
I might be panicked because, I don't live in Tornado Alley, so I wouldn't know what the heck to do, but I definitely would run inside somewhere.
Exactly. And everybody.
I feel like common sense tells you that's what you do when any kind of extreme weather is happening. Tornado, hurricane, anything. When there's extreme weather, you go inside. You don't stay outside. That doesn't make sense.
What would it hurt to go just stand inside for 15 minutes? What is it going to hurt? But man, Dixon was really throwing a fit about it. And I think that was only because he did not want Travis to steal the show or have a scene or look good.
It's a real shame that Dixon wasn't picked up by the tornado because, if anyone deserved to be picked up by a tornado and dumped somewhere in the middle of nowhere, it's Dixon. For sure.
I almost forgot how much he irritated me until this week. I mean, we've been on a long break, so I'm sure in Station 19 land, it hasn't been that long, but in my world, it's been a long time since Dixon has really irritated me. And he really irritated me this week. But I also like that Travis looked like a hero in front of everybody and the cameras.
And his hair looked all nice. His fancy hair.
How did it not move?
Vic did a really good job on his hair.
Apparently. I don't know how much product was in there.
Yeah, he's saving this poor woman who is going to injure herself because she is going to get out of that car, whether someone helps her or not. So Travis goes to help her, and then there's Dixon saying,
"You shouldn't move her.
You shouldn't move her. We should wait for paramedics." He's like, "I am a paramedic." He is a paramedic, and
he said it.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure he checked her before he moved her.
Like, maybe let's trust the person who told everyone that it would be a good idea to go inside for the tornado.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I would do.
Oh, but Dixon knows everything. We don't.
Well, apparently Travis did all of that just for the cameras because the cameras are right there.
Exactly.
That's what Travis is all about.
Man. I'm so glad. Once everybody started filming him rescuing Allie out of the car, I was like, ooh, this is gonna be good for him. I was like, as much as Travis, that's not why he did it. He didn't even think about that. But that just makes it all the better of him hopefully winning mayor, even though it seems so far out there to me.
I don't know.
But now I'm kind of like,
Well, now after this episode, now I'm wondering he could win. And then I'm thinking, oh no, what happens if he wins? Because he doesn't actually want to be mayor. That's not
I know
the of this. So if he actually does win, like, what then? What's he gonna do?
Hopefully Rocket. I guess. I don't know. That would be like just one thing that I could never.
I mean, as much as I love the idea of him being mayor, I don't see him being mayor. Like, I don't really see that I don't really see him being successful at it or enjoying it.
I don't think he would enjoy it. And also, wouldn't he have to like quit the fire department to be mayor, or can he still do both?
He could do both, but he'd probably have to go to part-time or
a higher up position. He's not gonna like that.
Because remember on I remember on Chicago Fire when Casey was what was that weird word they gave for like council members?
Yeah.
You know what
I can't remember, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
When he was doing that, he was also still going to his shifts and everything. So I don't know how that actually works out in real life, but I imagine with mayor, you'd have a lot more responsibilities than like a city councilman or whatever Casey was.
I mean, like, obviously, if it's like a small town, then it's not a big deal if you're mayor. You can still have a full-time job. But like a town like Seattle, for instance,
that's a pretty big job being a mayor of a big city like that.
I think that's like your job.
And Travis is he's not a desk guy. Like, he is going to be miserable 100% of the time. So
I mean, I think it's awesome he's wanting change, and I like that he's going after trying to change things himself and not just complain about it and, trying to make the change. But I just don't think that I can't see him being mayor. First of all, as much as I would love it, I can't see him being mayor, and I don't want him to take Travis away from Station 19. So I'm kind of a little iffy about this.
Yeah, I don't know, but it looks like it's going to be ongoing for at least a little while. So I guess we'll have to see what happens there.
Yep.
But did you notice? I didn't notice until Ben and Karina's conversation later that he wasn't a part of the action. Like, I didn't even notice that he wasn't at any of the calls.
Really? You don't remember? Like, they ran out and they kept passing them.
But I mean, I guess what I mean is that I didn't even miss him at any of the calls.
Oh yeah, no.
But as it turns out, he chose to. He said that he chose to be on desk duty, which is pretty big of him because he kind of gave the whole team a run for their money last season, or at the end of the season at least.
Yep, he did. And I don't know. That seems. I know he's doing it so they can get Prue. Or like, that was their stipulation of them adopting Prue, was him not being a firefighter anymore. And I guess this is a win-win. I mean,
but is he going to be happy doing desk duty forever and ever?
No.
So I don't know how long this is going to. I mean, it's a good temporary solution, but he's not going to be happy doing desk duty at the firehouse forever.
He's just got to outlive the parents, right?
I don't know, unless he and Karina keep getting victims coming in like the one they had this week.
Karina irritated me with that.
Yeah, it was a big swap because this is exactly what Ben was doing last season.
Yeah.
And then here's Karina being the one saying, no, we can do it here. And then Ben's like, no, 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 let's wait for an aid car and take him to the hospital. And as it turned out,
Ben should have gone to the hospital.
Yeah, because, oh boy, was that a messy procedure.
He lost a lot of blood and it was coming fast. And like they said in the show, like they didn't have any blood on hand. So what are they going to do?
And Karina was so calm the whole time. She's like, it's just bleeding a little more than normal. And she's holding her hand there. I'm like, Karina,
do something.
pay attention. I know we shouldn't be freaking out patients, but can we be realistic with ourselves that maybe this wasn't the best course of action?
Yeah. I hope that is not going to be a continuous thing for Karina. And I hope that they can't just keep having one person go rogue every season.
Yeah, while it's great, the drama's great for one storyline, it can't be an ongoing thing because that's going to get really old and it's going to just make everybody mad at each other. And I don't want everyone mad at each other. I want everyone to be a big, happy family.
And also, I don't want something to happen. And like, what if that guy would have died? What would have happened to Karina? Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, what happens then? What happens to Ben? It's under his watch too. I mean, that was super risky. I mean, could they have probably have let it slide because they were in a national
state emergency,
natural disaster.
Okay, there we go.
They were in a natural disaster, so maybe that would kind of okay it this one time.
Maybe, but I feel hadn't the tornado passed by that point, so it would have been safe to take him to the hospital.
Yeah, but they didn't have a car or any way to get around because the tornado had taken pretty much everything out. Unless did they have a car there? I mean, I don't. Who knows the state of their car?
Well, he said that they had to wait for an aid car, so maybe theirs was already out, so they could have waited for another station to come with an aid car.
I'm talking about even like their personal cars.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to me, if something was bad enough, I'm throwing somebody in my car and I'm going to the hospital.
It's like, it's okay. I'll clean the car later. We're going to the hospital.
Yeah. I mean, the only things I can think of is either they got damaged there in the tornado. There might not be a clear path to the hospital from the tornado. I mean, I'm sure there's reasons.
But this guy's injury, could he have waited however long it took for them to get him to a hospital? Because when he came in, it didn't, obviously, like, his arm needed attending to. Like, it was a pretty big wound.
Yeah.
It didn't really become a big emergency until, Karina went rogue. So
exactly. Until she removed it.
Yeah. I bet they could have waited. I bet he could have waited to be attended to until they managed to get him to a hospital.
Absolutely.
However they were able to do that, it probably would have taken maybe an hour, maybe two, but he probably could have waited. They could have wrapped it up, not done surgery on it.
I know. That was, I don't know. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully that was just a one-time natural disaster type of thing that happened, and Karina's not going to start going rogue on us all the time.
Well, she can't go rogue because, she's got problems with Maya going on, so.
Oh my gosh. So I didn't really like it when her and Ben were talking about why should she bother bringing another life into the world when it's like, I was like, that's a little bit dark when you're trying to get pregnant.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there like, did you not just go for your 5th try for insemination like a couple hours ago, maybe?
Ma'am, you were just upside down in the shower.
Now may not be the best time to be bringing stuff like that up. Maybe think before, you inseminate. In the fire station, Is that a good I mean, I get the time is of the essence, but in the fire station, really?
Why not?
Yeah, I'm really, I don't know if I'm nervous for Karina and Maya because I really, really dislike Maya right now. I don't know if I'm quite at hate yet. That's a strong word.
No, I don't hate. She's annoying me right now.
She is getting on my last nerve right now. So
yes. Her threatening, blackmailing was not okay.
that was not cool. Here's what really annoys me about this whole thing. And she doesn't even see that what she did was wrong.
No, she doesn't. That's that's the issue.
In her mind, she is in the right. And I can't understand why anyone would think that blackmailing someone
is going to work.
Is
in
going
that
to work.
position.
Yeah.
And doing, she had no proof. She had no proof. So what?
And the way she did it, it was just so like, just so uppity. I don't know how else to say it, but
no, you're dead on. She was uppity. I like that one. She was uppity.
I'm going to report you if you don't make me captain. Then just walked away. It's like, excuse you. We don't get promotions that way.
Man, I've never been a big Maya fan. I know some people love her.
I've never loved her. I've never been a big fan of hers. She's just kind of been to me, like she never really stood out, but now I really dislike her. Like I am not liking her at all.
I don't like her when she's not like around Karina. When she's around, I like her and Karina together. I like their relationship. I like them together as long as they're being nice. Maya's not lying to her or withholding truth from her like she did this episode she didn't even tell Karina about the blackmailing.
I mean, it didn't occur to me that Karina didn't know. But then on the other hand, I was like, why would Maya go and tell her that's what she did?
I don't know. Like I tell my husband everything.
But this is Maya.
So. True. I know. It's just like, what do you talk about then?
And I just felt so bad for Karina because she was like going to bat for Maya and
Yep.
Telling Beckett, it's like, hey, stop giving her a hard time. And that's when Beckett said, hey, do you realize what your wife has done?
Yep. I liked it. Me. I mean, I think nobody's a Beckett fan, but I kind of applauded him at that part.
Yeah, I was like, thank you, Beckett.
Yeah.
See, I'm starting to, I'm liking Maya less and less and less. And I'm liking Beckett a tiny bit more.
Yeah, he wasn't bad this episode.
Like I don't dislike him as much as I did when he first came on.
It goes back and forth for me. It goes back and forth. Like next week I could probably hate him again. I'm going to use the word hate because there was a time I hated him. And I do think he's drinking on the job. I do. And it bothers me that he keeps getting away with. He's doing something. Something is happening while he's on the job. And I know they've kind of like they've moved past it, but I don't know.
I mean, especially in this job, you cannot be drinking on the job. Like,
no,
someone's going to die. And sadly, I wonder if that's what it's going to come to. If, someone dies on his watch, because he's been drinking on the job. And then that's how he comes crashing down. But yeah, I'd rather not get to that point. But I feel like that's the only way he's going to get caught.
I do too. I mean, but they like tested him and he came back negative. So
didn't he do something to make it so that it would come out like that he would test negative or something? Or
I didn't see anything like that. I just thought he came back negative. I was like, how?
I think he did something, some kind of tampering or whatever, because there's no way that he is sober all the time.
Oh no, for sure not. And it does look like the drama continues next week. Unfortunately, I didn't think it was that dramatic this week. I think next week's going to be way more dramatic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because I mean, we have Andy and Maya now going at each other about the blackmailing. So apparently it's out now that Maya blackmailed.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that Andy's about to call her out on it next week because she's really good at that. She does, like, they're best friends, but Andy does not hold back. If she's, screwing up, she's gonna call her out on it. So I guess I'm excited for that argument.
Yeah, it needs to happen. Hopefully she'll put her in her place. We also get a really big fire, which I'm excited for.
Yeah, looks like a big looks like it's going to be another stressful fire because I guess they're trying to put out this big house fire and the hydrants are dry and there's no water, which,
yeah,
I mean, I don't know much about fire departments, but I'm pretty sure you need water to put out a fire. So
I just don't understand why the hydrants are dry. It's not like Seattle's in a drought. Can Seattle be in a drought?
That's what I was thinking at first, but I was like, it's Seattle. Like, how they can't possibly be in a drought.
I mean, they just had a tornado.
They just had a tornado and now there's no water. It's like, poor Seattle.
I mean, maybe the tornado messed up something with the hydrants and the water supply that go to them. I don't know. Did that happen?
It could. I guess we'll find out next week if that could happen.
I guess so. All right. So I think we talked all Station 19. And now we get to move to Grace. And it's I know, I'm so excited. It's the season 19 premiere. Yeah, I know 19 is ridiculous, but I'm really actually excited for this season after watching this first episode.
And the title of the episode was actually really fitting. Everything has changed.
Everything has changed.
Not quite changed. Everything has gone back.
Everything has rewound.
Everything has rewound. Be kind, rewind.
Oh, that would have been a better title. Is that a song though?
Is it? I don't think so.
Well, somebody better make it a song. We're going way back to the attending and intern drama, which cracked me up. I thought we can start this one out a little bit different and kind of introduce our new interns from what we already know. And then we'll kind of like get into we'll start talking about the episode. But I know from when I was talking to people since it came out, they're like, I don't know who's who. Well, I do now. I've studied it. All right. So Jules Millen is our Meredith Grey. In the very first scene, we see her bumping into Link, and they had slept together like I think a few days or the week before.
As soon as that happened, I was like, of course it was Link. Then the same time, I was like, oh, Link. That poor guy.
Oh, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it now, but Joe's reaction killed me.
I love Joe's reaction because things were so weird between them for such a long time.
Yes.
So I'm glad they're friends again, to the point where Joe is getting that hilarious reaction to finding out that Link slept with the intern.
The surgical intern.
Of course.
All right. So we kind of like know Jules, but we don't really know that much about her yet. Like, she was in the episode consistently this week, but we didn't get too much like of her personality and like how she kind of is. You can tell she's excited about surgery.
On the surface level, she does match up a lot with how Meredith was. at the beginning, like back in season one Meredith.
Yeah.
But that's surface level is all I'm getting. We don't really know much about her, but I love Adelaide Kane.
Yeah.
So I really, really want to love Jules too.
And I think we will. I mean, I'm hoping to love all these interns. Like I'm hoping these are I mean, it is our new magic team, but I'm hoping that it is our new magic team. You know what I mean? So we have Jules Millen, and then we have Lucas Adams, Luke, not Skywalker. He is our Alex Karev. Good looking, cocky. I was going to say know-it-all, but I think the cocky kind of covers it all.
I think cocky just covers everything. Cocky and good looking. That's all you need to know.
Cocky and good looking. We're just going to leave it there.
I loved him in the locker room when he said Luke, but not like Skywalker. And then I was like, dude, you should not have said that, because then what happens next? They start calling him Skywalker.
Yep. I was like, oh, look, there's his new nickname.
There we go.
You can't do that.
That's his own fault. He put it out there.
I'm going to call him Skywalker from now on.
But yeah, he's cocky and good looking. And we'll get into him a little more later on. But
we'll get into him a little more, but that pretty much sums him up.
From the get-go, that's what we've got. Cocky and good looking.
Cocky and good looking, and I think he'll be phenomenal. I see good things coming his way.
I really want to like him too.
I do too.
I want to like all of them.
Oh my gosh. So our next one is Simone Griffith, which is our George O'Malley, even though it took me a little bit to realize she's kind of, there's a bug on me. Oh, there was a bug. It flew off. Gosh. Gotta get back into it. Okay. All right. So, and then we have Simone Griffith, who is our George O'Malley character. She's, first of all, late, so disheveled. You can tell she's super smart, though. She's eager to help, eager to learn. She's very eager. And that's a lot of like how George was in the early days. He was a people pleaser. He wanted to please, but he was always remember him running.
Yeah, he was always running everywhere. Now that you mention it, yes. Always running like that. He sure got his steps in that first that intern year, because yes. He was always running everywhere.
And I love that when she came running, I mean, it didn't even dawn on me until later on that she was George, but I'm like, it totally fits. She's George. And I love it. Let's just not hit her with a bus.
Please. Yeah, her I really liked. It was, I guess we'll talk about her a little. I had a question about her, but we'll talk about that later. But just her, she was running like all over the hospital. I was like, oh gosh, this is funny. She can't find the locker room. It was, I don't know what, it was so minor, but it was just so season 1 Grays. I was like, it was just another tiny little example of how we're finally getting back to, the glory days. Oh yeah. Of what Grays was always supposed to be. So that was really
gold. It's gold. It's perfect. I mean, can they do it every single year like this? No. But it's so much fun to come back after 19 seasons and kind of go back to the beginning. It's seriously, that's genius. I mean, really, Shonda, Krista, whoever had the idea, is genius. Good job.
Thank you. I know we asked for many things, and we're glad you delivered on at least one thing.
Yeah, I'm super happy. So next on our list is we have, how do you say her name? Micah or Mika?
Mika is like, when I see it, I would pronounce it Mika, but is that how they said it on the episode?
I don't know. I'm like having a brain blank right now. I'm trying to think. I think Mika. That sounds more.
Mika sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have Mika Yasuda. I think is how you say her last name, Mika Yasuda. And I thought she was going to be our Christina Yang at first.
Oh, me too. But
because as soon as like her and Meredith kind of like paired up, not Meredith, her and Jules. Well, there I go already. Her, like, as soon as Mika and Jules like had to sync up and they were walking together, she's like, I slept with an attending. I was like, oh great, this is going to be like our Christina, but it's not. She is our Izzy. She's sweet, caring. Like, even like when she tells that lady, like, I'll hope for you. That's such an Izzy move.
And just like Izzy, I kind of fear for her that the medical profession is going to eat her alive.
I don't know. I think she'll be okay. Like
Yeah.
Izzy was, I think, but I think she will have some issues dealing with the hard truth of things sometimes. But I'm here for it.
Yeah, she'll be fine.
Yeah. And then that leaves us with Benson Kwan, whom was on
Glee. Loved him in Glee.
Yes.
Mike Chang.
He is going to be our Christina Yang.
100,000,000%. Yes, there was no doubt.
Which is one that like I said, I thought Mika was going to be Christina. So whenever we met Benson and then he started kind of being emotionless and tough exterior and, you know, lying to get whatever he needs to get done, I was like, ooh, okay. I don't think, I mean, I was trying to place him. I was like, I don't know who this is, because I was still stuck on Mika being Christina. But I was like, no, Benson has to be Christina Yang. Like, this just has to be. So I love it. I loved his character already. He just seems, and I know not everybody loves Christina Yang. Well, I know a lot of people do. I love Christina. I loved when she was.
I love Christina.
I loved when she was mean. I loved when she was annoying. I loved when she was happy. I loved her all the time. Her bad and her good. She annoyed me sometimes and she made me mad sometimes, but I never quit loving her.
That's what love is all about.
We're going to bring it back to Link. Link has slept with Jules. Just to mention it again, Joe's laugh. I watched it Tuesday. I watched it Thursday and I watched it just now. And I think I laughed more the second time watching it than I did the first. Because the first time watching it, I was like, wait, what? Like, why is she because I'm thinking of last season, how we ended the whole Link and Joe thing. This is not where we left them. But we also did time jump 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to keep, I keep forgetting that too, but we did time jump 6 months.
What I loved about, well, not necessarily love, but I like how they kind of continued to mirror season 1 Grace.
Yeah.
With, you know, an intern sleeping with one of the attendings, but it wasn't exactly the same as what happened with Meredith and Derek, because with Meredith and Derek, we saw their whole interaction before Meredith started at, at the time, Seattle Grace.
Yeah. But
we didn't see that with Jules and Link. So I'm glad they didn't mirror it exactly, because I mean, that would have gotten old. We've already done that. We don't need to do the exact same things. We just want nostalgia. Yeah, like the whole sleeping together with an attending, and you can honestly leave it like that and I would be happy. But I am curious of what they are going to do, because it seems like Link was kind of not wholly, I don't feel like he wanted a relationship with her or anything, but you know, kind of hanging on to it and be like, oh gosh, like doing the HR paperwork and all that stuff, which, by the way, she never signed it. I was like, wait, what's going to happen now if she just doesn't even sign it at all? Well, you know, drama's going to happen now that she hasn't signed it. So, but I love how she did poke fun at him. You're the one stalking me outside of the interns lounge to get me to sign this paperwork.
And she just hands it back and doesn't even sign it.
And poor Link is like, but I brought you paperwork. I'm doing the responsible thing. I brought the paperwork. I loved when he was in Meredith's office.
Oh my gosh.
And for a little bit, like he was just sitting there, like she was busy on the phone. And I guess he was like waiting to talk to her. Yeah. And I'm sitting there like, Link, do you even know Meredith? Like, this is not an official conversation with her. And then she responded the exact same way that I would have responded in my head, which was, I have no reason to judge you. Stay away from elevators and go see HR.
That whole, and that's why I even wrote it down, because exactly what she said was perfect. Like, whoever wrote that line, thank you. Again, I feel like I'm just thanking everybody in this episode. Thank you for that.
And Ellen, if that was all you, then good job.
I'm in no position to judge you on this. I do recommend you stay away from elevators for the foreseeable future.
I recommend that he doesn't, because we need to get back to elevators.
Oh, please, some elevator scenes. Everyone knows those are my favorites.
That's where all the good stuff happens.
Yes. I know. I went back every time I do a rewatch of Grace and I go back, I'm like, man, what happened to the elevator? Because you kind of do, like, once you get to like the later seasons, you kind of forget about the elevator. You know, you're immersed in that new world. You don't really remember it anymore. But every now and then I'm like, what happened to the elevators? Why are we not? And so I love that they said it.
Yeah. So hopefully that means we're getting some elevator scenes. Yeah.
So she tells Link to go to see HR, which I think I'm really glad that he told Meredith this than if he told Bailey.
Yeah, Bailey definitely would have been more like, what is wrong with you people kind of moment, which would have been equally hilarious, let's be honest. But Meredith was really the perfect person for him to tell this to.
I am in no position.
But Bailey is in a great vacay position. I like vacay Bailey.
I do too. She looked like young Bailey, like flashback Bailey.
I like vacay Bailey, but I'm not going to like vacay Bailey all season. No. So regular Bailey needs to come back at some point, because this is fun for an episode. It's not gonna be fun for much longer.
Yeah. I mean, we know Meredith is leaving. We don't know. I mean, she'll be in and out. So I don't think she'll be our chief for the whole season. I wouldn't think that would work. If she's not going to be there in every episode, I don't think she could be the chief for the whole season.
Is Chandra Wilson, like, does she need time away for any reason, or is it just a storyline?
Just a storyline, I believe. I haven't heard anything otherwise. So I mean, she was in this episode. So, and she didn't, this is the whole thing was same thing with Jack. Bailey did not need to be in this episode. It was more of a, I don't know what I'm even trying to think of. It was more of like a, she's still here type
like she
of
completely disappeared.
She's still here. She's just not working. So I think if they could have easily been, you know, she didn't have to come in and say those lines, and somebody else could have, you know what I mean? They could have done without her, but they didn't. So that shows me that she's not gone. And we know she's going to be here this season anyways. She's on the big poster. So,
and the big poster does not lie.
No, even though it has Meredith at the top, she should be at the bottom. She didn't want to show up there every day. It's okay, Ellen. I forgive you. I know it's time. So also, as Bailey's having her lovely vacay time, she turns into Richard a little bit.
Yeah, she was letting him have it. I was like, you're on vacation. Richard is working. Let him do, you know, his work.
You opened up this residency program 6 months too early, and they got the rejects. I was like, oh, that's so sad. I didn't even realize. I think that was kind of when we learned that they were not picked on their grades and they were picked on their performances and I guess reputations is the better words to kind of describe it.
But, that can also, grades isn't everything.
No.
So,
And I think
remember Leela on The Resident? Like, she got her job based on really stellar references because she didn't always test well.
Yep.
So
absolutely. And
that's a real life thing, I think.
Well, I think all these have gotten disciplinary actions against them as well. And I think we're going to kind of find out, maybe not all of them have, but I know I think a few of them have. So I am kind of interested in this season to figure out their more backstories. I'm excited to learn more about kind of what landed them at Gray Sloan, why they're in the reject pile. They're not rejects. I don't like using that word, but
why they weren't favored.
Yeah, there you go. During this whole Richard and Bailey thing, we kind of like flip over to where Levi's doing.
Poor Levi. I wonder, how did he get roped into doing OBGYN with Joe? Like, does she have something on him? Because I don't see her easily being able to say, hey, come on, do this with me.
How did 18 end? He was just coming back, right?
The residents were facing having to find a new hospital to do their surgical internet.
And maybe that's why.
So maybe as a resident, he just, in order to stay at Gray Sloan, he just switched to gynecology.
Yeah, and that makes more sense.
Unfortunately, was not for him. He looked very out of place. And he looked terrified.
His faces, you can't make those faces. I think he's scarred.
Poor Levi. He had such a rough year last year. You cannot make him do gynecology. He is not built for that.
You know what? He knew he wasn't built for it. He walked straight out. Poor Joe. You can't do this to me. But he runs to Richard. Oh, poor Richard. He runs to Richard. Begs him to come back.
Poor Richard was not prepared for the speech that Levi was about to pour on him.
No, and I think this will make Bailey want to stay on vacation a little bit longer too. He starts out with the vagina speech. Man, he said,
never had I heard the word vagina so many times.
In like a paragraph.
It was just constant. It was like every other word. I was like, gee whiz.
Oh my gosh. I think that's all on his brain right now. I mean, he's been an OBGYN for I guess how many months now? Today he's had it. He's had enough. He starts spitting out the facts.
I would guess 6 months because they fast forwarded 6 months, so it's probably been since then.
Yeah. So I guess 6 months was his topping point. He can't do any more. But I'll be the vagina of the program if you let me. Or the backbone.
And I think that's when Bailey was just like,
I'm out.
I'm out. I mean, if I was Bailey, I would have done the exact same thing too. Like, I don't know how to deal with this, but luckily it's not my problem.
Absolutely. I've said it for a long time. Levi's one of my favorites now, and he brought it hard this episode, and I am all here for it. I love it. I do miss Helm.
Is she gone, or are we expecting her back?
I haven't heard anything.
Well, who else left from that class? Was it just Levi and Helm left?
I mean, those were the two that I liked the most. I mean, we don't see Nico. Perez. Oh,
Perez needs to come back.
I liked him. And the mother-daughter team. But I think they were already gone.
Mother-daughter team. We had stopped seeing. Well, the mother, I think she went off to go work with Jackson.
And the daughter, but the daughter was still there, right?
Daughter. Or was we saw a little bit towards. We saw a little bit at the end, but she wasn't around as much as Helm and Levi were.
I'm fine with just bringing I mean, I would love for Perez to stick around too, because he brought a lot of comedic relief. And I would not be sad if he came back. But I'm really kind of disappointed Helm is not there. That was where my holdup was. I was like,
yeah,
she was getting really good.
I was waiting for her the whole episode. I was like, well, there's Levi. Like, what's Helm up to? And then we never.
Yeah, you just never saw her. So
not to see. So hopefully we do get to see her because I liked her.
Yeah, I hope so. I guess we'll have to see. But then Levi runs to Meredith, and she just, before he even gets a word out, you're done with it. What did he say? I hate it more than war.
I need to go back and rewatch because there were just so many good things about that.
You have to go back and rewatch because you will pick up on more things.
I hate it more than war.
I hate it more than war. Just all the war.
All the wars mixed into one.
This is why you'd make a great chief resident, and then she's just gone. Straight Meredith
standing there like,
I loved it. That was a great way to do that. Like,
yeah.
I don't feel like I have anything bad to say about this episode. Sadly, sorry guys. I'm just gonna keep saying it was so great the whole time.
Things to say about it. But yeah, one person who was not pleased was Joe.
Keep walking, Schmidt. We're not on turkey terms.
Keep walking. I have to say, I love a more put together Joe because she's been struggling for ever since Alex left. Like, she's really been struggling, and I feel like she's finally like back into like a good rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe at her best is amazing, just like we saw in this episode.
And it looks like she's back in OBGYN like full time. Remember when season 18 ended, she was going to help out with General and do OB.
Oh yeah, because they were, short staffed and everything. But it looks like she's back in OB.
But I've almost forgot to even mention it. Huge thing happened this episode that we haven't even talked about. The pink is gone.
Yes.
She changed the scrubs to black.
And I am not sad about it.
Because it is not a happy, which she was pretty much saying like it wasn't a happy, it shouldn't be a.
Pink is a happy color. Black is not, or something about how it's not happy. I don't remember the exact.
I don't remember, but it was hilarious. Her she would be wearing all black.
And as soon as she was like, "Oh, the new scrubs are here," and she opened them and they were black, I was like, "Of course they're black.
Of course they're black."
I wouldn't expect anything less of Joe.
Oh man. But anyways, that was hilarious and I loved it. Of course. I gotta stop saying I love it. Oh, one thing I kind of want to just kind of go into for a minute is Simone and Richard's talk kind of at the end of the episode about why she was late. Did you obviously everybody listening, I'm guessing, has watched the episode and she's late because her mom died in the hospital. I thought like Richard was going to like remember her mom or something.
You know what? I was really confused because he kept like, he knew her like as soon as he came like, running through the halls of the hospital, he was like Griffiths, like that way. So
but I mean, he helped hire him too. So
yeah, I know that it's his job to know the interns, but I was also wondering if maybe he knew her personally somehow.
Yeah. I kind of thought the same thing, but I'm guessing not.
I'm guessing
I was totally off.
Or I don't know, maybe it'll come back and he actually does remember her. I don't know, but from what it seemed like from their conversation, he does not know her mom. But
yeah,
I love how that went down. I was late because my mom died. Oh, I'm so sorry. No, it was when I was born. It's like, oh,
do you need a pasture? or a grief counselor.
Like, do you need a grief counselor? It was when I was born. He's like,
Oh. Just as confused as us all, Richard.
Like, okay, well, let's say more words because I'm confused.
Yeah, but that was this little sweet conversation that they had. I mean, and her describing what she thought the walls would look like beige. And in my head, I'm like, oh, they were. Oh, they were gray, or they were beige. They were beige. And then he said that, well, it's been like 3 years since they painted them blue. And you like saw the like relief kind of come off of her. And it was a nice, sweet scene to see Richard kind of taking on that role again of comforting the interns and guiding them, and just pretty much, I mean, just talking to them. That's sweet.
And at the same time, it gave us a chance to get to know at least one of the interns, because I'm hoping, I mean, we have to, if they're going to be there for any significant amount of time, we are going to get to know more and more about the other interns. But it was nice that we got to kind of have that little tiny piece of backstory on Simone.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm glad.
Because I 100% thought she was just a flake. But that ended up not completely being the case.
The tornado. I loved it when she blamed it on the tornado.
The tornado was last week, or however long it had been.
Yeah. I can't remember how long it had been, but yes.
Yeah, I was sitting there thinking, no, Richard, it just happened. I just watched that episode.
It happened today. What are you talking about?
It just happened an hour ago, Richard. Were you not there?
That was a little bit confusing to me about, they didn't like really explain until then, like how long it had been. We didn't know. From all the tornado damage that caused apparently Simone to be running late, Amelia has some pretty tough cases this week of 14 died, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, 14 died, 9 are donors.
Yeah.
So
those are high numbers.
That's a lot of kids. I think they were all kids.
Oh yeah, they were.
Because they said it was a bus. I'm assuming they're all kids. Maybe there was like a bus driver or an adult or something on the bus too.
Well, now that I think about it, well, they were all kids, like all the patients.
Yeah, because they had to go tell all the parents, right?
Yeah, so it must have been all kids, like a school bus or something.
Yeah, I mean, they said it was a school bus. They got caught in the tornado. So we know that.
They were not as lucky as Allie.
No. And that was tough. I mean, 14. How are you going to kill 14 kids on first day, Shonda? Krista?
Well, I mean, she gave us a new magic, so, she had to get us somewhere else.
Here's my one complaint.
Okay, here's another complaint, though. So Amelia has the interns tell the parents the results of the brain checks. That seems like a pretty big ask of people, of, baby doctors. Especially from how that went down with one of the interns. So
I know in early Grays, it was an actual issue of them telling. One, I think that they learn this in school more now. I've had to tell somebody. So, but I do agree with you. I think
they shouldn't have been sent alone.
Exactly. Like either Amelia or another seasoned doctor, or even like Levi, like not specifically Levi, but somebody in his, like a resident.
Yeah.
Somebody to like go and help them.
Because like what we saw, what happened with Luke, he made a huge error.
Oh, that broke my heart.
I mean, yes, he made a pretty big mistake. But then on the other hand, I was like, but somebody should have been with him to be like, hey, wait, no. Check to make sure, what her last name is, because he said he'd only asked if she was, so-and-so, like the first name. I think he asked the Miller, the last name, but he didn't confirm the first name. I thought that's what it was. I thought they were like both Miller.
Because they say
No,
Lisa Miller.
No, he said first name because he also said that he was like, I was about to deliver bad news. I wanted to be more personable and use their first name.
That's right. I remember
because they made
now.
a big point to say you never use their first name. Well,
Yeah.
if you do, you say Lisa. Are you Lisa Miller? Like, if you're about to tell someone that their son is dead, you need to make doubly sure that you're talking to the right person.
Confirm who you're talking to first and then break that news.
Yes.
That was devastating though. It did bring a little bit. It made me laugh only at one scene when, again, Simone, that old doctor, when he got up and started walking, I immediately started laughing again. As soon as she got that wheelchair and just started rushing him through the hospital, I lost it. I was like, oh no.
Okay, so am I the only one who saw that scene and thought, oh, that looks like fun, me next?
I would.
Like, can someone race me in a wheelchair through the hospital? Because that looks like fun.
But he did all that. They did all that. And he just goes in there and shakes his head. And that's it. It's like, really? This poor guy's nice like 90.
That nice ride through the hospital. And that was it.
But he actually did seem very coherent for his age. Like his brain was still a working. You could tell by the way he was like, I know. Like, you don't have to explain it. I know. Also, with these interns telling the parents that they just lost a child, you have Benson who comes in and kind of talks to the mother who Luke had completely messed up and told her about, his brother, how he died and how the organs always make him, remember of who his brother was, and at least, he could do some good in the world, blah, 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 blah. He was completely lying.
That moment when I was like, oh, there's Christina.
Yes.
Right there.
Yes. I was like, oh, there it is. But that
who was he with? Who was he with? It was another one of the
no, Simone.
Yeah, Simone's like, oh, that was so nice, that story like of your brother. I don't have a brother.
Just so nonchalant. I was like, oh, okay. He's smart. I like him.
I mean, he wouldn't be I can't imagine he'd be the first doctor.
No.
Who told a lie like that.
I've seen this in our shows before too. Where they'll like make up a story to make, the family member feel better. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I really don't. Humans thrive on other humans.
As long as it's done, respectfully, then I don't see anything wrong with it.
Absolutely. And I think during this time it was okay for him to do. Because, other than him having a brother and what it meant to him, he didn't say anything incorrect. He is going to go save lives. He is going to be remembered for that. You will have somebody who, gets his kidney and his heart and everything. So
he just had to create a character to make it more personable.
Yeah. I think there's good lying and there's bad lying. Lying's not always bad. Sometimes it's necessary for the greater good, but not for the greater good is Maggie's poor patient.
Or Howard's
husband, his cry. I thought he was laughing at first. I thought he was like sitting in the chair, like cracking up because I wasn't looking at the screen at the time. I was
looking at the screen and I still thought he was laughing.
I wasn't even looking and I was like, why is he laughing? That's when I like looked up from whatever I was doing. I was like, oh no, he's crying. But this poor guy, I can't remember now. Does he ever get the heart? Because when she went in to go do the surgery, the heart wasn't good. Remember? Because there was like nodules on it or whatever.
Yeah, so like they had to sew him back up or something.
Yeah, and that's when. So I don't think he got his transplant at all or anything, which is really sad.
Was that him or was that no, that was him.
That was him, yeah, because Jules is the one. That's why she was excited, because she got to stitch up, which is it's not like a orange or a cadaver, but at least
I would hope it's not.
I mean, it was kind of actually a little bit cool to see Levi be the responsible one in the OR. I mean, he was obviously helping Maggie, but Maggie just leaving Levi to watch Jules. It was a good change of pace for me, because I feel like the poor Levi's just had to be babysat for so long.
It was nice being able to see that he's, being trusted to, oversee, new interns. So I thought that was cool.
It was really cool. And you could tell he wanted to stitch up, by the way. He's still eager enough. He wanted to do it. But Maggie is an awesome teacher. She immediately is putting these interns to work, and I love to see it.
Yeah, and she's not afraid to let oh gosh, where was I going with that? She's not afraid to let go of her control.
She knows she's good.
A chance. Yeah. It's like, I know I'm good. I know I'm the bee's knees. There you go.
And I think because Jules is like in love with Maggie. It seems like. So
you know who I was in love with this episode though?
Who?
Boki.
Oh, Boki got a line.
I love every time. I'm so glad she does not speak very often, because every time she does, it's like it's gold.
It is.
I remember the last time she had a line, it was more of, a more sad moment.
Yeah.
But this time it was so funny. It's like they just keep getting younger and younger.
Levi, though. Again, Levi making me laugh so freaking hard. You say please to Boki. I did.
Everyone should always say please to Boki. I still say there needs to be a Boki-centered episode.
I don't know. I think that might ruin it. And because I used to say the same thing. I was like, I want to know everything about Boki. But I think it might ruin it now. After 19 seasons, and it's just been the same. I don't know. I think I want to.
It's just enough having her around for so long.
I'm content now. Speaking of surgery, we had a big surgery this episode for Sarah Martinez, I think was her name. And she needed a triple transplant, which I guess is unheard of almost. It's rare.
And Nick seemed kind of surprised that it was happening. So obviously it must be not something that happens every single day.
Yeah, he's never done one, which really surprised me, because he's like the transplant king, isn't he? Around those necks of the woods.
And the Seattle part of it.
Yeah, honestly, it just surprised me. He had never done, I guess, could you imagine how rare it'd be to not only get one organ, but get three at the same time?
The recovery time on that must be, literal pain, but.
At least she's not a tree. I love when Nick comes in there. At least she's not a tree. So Nick is apparently there to pick up an organ for Minnesota, like a Minnesota patient, because he's back in Minnesota. He's wearing his army green color. So he's there in this big long line to pick up an organ. Him and Winston sitting there talking about life. And he's like, well, I kind of meant Meredith. oh, yeah. But when Maggie sees him, turns, her face when she sees him, by the way, was hilarious, because she was so like, ooh, like she could not get to Meredith fast enough to tell her that Nick was there. She don't look so calm. So to get Maggie's like, you have to come talk to him, right? I did not think that this is where this was going, by the way. That was the most awkward interaction between Nick and Meredith.
It was so painful to watch. Because I was like, I'd rather them have not interacted at all, because this is just so painful.
Yes.
And there was nothing sad or depressing about it. It was just so painfully awkward.
It was. The only thing I guess it's Meredith Grey, so the only thing on her mind is surgery. So she invites him to do this triple transplant, which I'm sorry, that's love. Can you imagine season 1 Meredith giving up a triple transplant?
She's chief of surgery now. She's kind of busy.
She was sitting there watching him work most of the time. What are you talking about? She just wanted to keep him there, and that was her excuse, and she was willing to give anything to keep him there.
That's a good way to keep him there. Surgery like that probably takes a lot of hours.
What'd she say, like 26 hours?
Was it?
I think she's 25 or 26 hours, she said. She's like, it's going to be like a 25-hour surgery, and it's resident's first day. So that's why she couldn't do it. So yeah, that was a very long surgery. But I think you would see like different surgeons kind of coming in and out. Like, Richard was there for a little bit, and Winston was there for a little bit. And I think I saw like Maggie in there for a little bit. Like, they were all like kind of trailing in and out, but I think Nick was kind of like the main one who stayed in there the entire time. But right before the surgery, she tells them they had that kind of heart-to-heart talk, which I didn't expect that talk to like go serious. I didn't think we were gonna honestly, I thought they were gonna do that like at the end or something. But she just flat out tells him, you know me, I'm stubborn and proud. And I think that's the most truthful thing she could have said, because she's pretty much telling him, without telling him in Meredith's way, that she didn't want him to leave. She called out for him. She's too stubborn and proud to ever admit it or chase after him. And she wants him back. That's what I took from it.
Yeah, that's what I got from it too. I was pretty happy with that conversation.
I was too.
Especially with how awkward they were acting initially.
Yeah.
It was nice to see that that's how this storyline, at least for this episode, ended.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, because she also invited him to be the residency director, which again, no, so if she's going to be chief of surgery and he's going to be the residency director, how is she only going to be in 8 episodes? I need the entire season to like come out.
We're just curious, Shonda. We won't share it with anyone. We just need to know.
Can you tell me?
Amanda is Gray's biggest fan, so she needs to know. She watched live in Mexico.
I'll watch live wherever I am. I don't know how that's gonna work, but back to the surgery, which I really enjoyed the little talk that Nick had with Luke while scrubbing in, because I feel like if it was many other people, he would not have been scrubbing in. Like, he really messed up that day, but Nick took it and turned it into such a positive thing. If your day started off so bad, let's end it right. I mean, come on. Like, I couldn't love Nick anymore. Like, it took me a while to like Nick. I feel like I can officially say I love Nick now.
Oh yeah, me too.
I mean, he's just an
inherently good person.
He is. Gosh, I love it. That was the whole little speech he gave to Luke was so uplifting and so cool and so nice. And he's not Derek, but he's pretty awesome. I'm sure many people would say he's better than Derek, but don't get me started. So while as soon as they scrub in, they go in there. And what does Luke say?
I was so mad at first when he said, "It's a beautiful day to save lives." I was like, do not tell me he researched, Derek Shepherd.
That's what I thought too.
That's what the thing he was supposed to say. But then we find out, lo and behold, he's Derek's
nephew.
I was like, oh, it's his nephew. Okay, it's okay now. I can forgive him.
Well, I didn't even realize that's what they had said at the beginning. I thought they were. I heard nephew, and I thought they were like, it wasn't like serious. I had to like rewind and like watch again.
Yeah, because Amelia told
Meredith.
Was it Meredith who was in there? She's like,
yeah.
Yep. He worshipped Derek. He was his. Luke was his favorite nephew. I was like, huh? What?
Yeah.
Say what?
Now, go back. I promise you, go back and watch it again. and you will notice how Amelia treats Luke rather than everybody else. She doesn't like treat him differently, like in a bad way, but he is more, you can tell how comfortable he is with her. Like he'll like grab her arm and like to talk to her, and like you can definitely tell that there's a past like relationship between them, you know. You can definitely see it if you go back and watch it again.
Well, I'm definitely going to go back and rewatch tomorrow.
Yeah, you have to. Amelia asking, did you hire him only because he reminds you of Derek? Not Derek.
He reminds me he does not remind me of Derek at all.
Well, he's cocky like Derek, but so is Amelia.
Well, I think it must be a Shepherd family trait to be cocky.
Oh,
but
I think that's a surgeon thing.
Maybe. But I was like, yeah, aside from the cockiness, he's not like Derek.
He is Amelia. He's the black sheep, apparently, of the family. He's the one who messes up. You can tell he has issues already. Like, I think this is going to be good.
Yeah, so I hope we get to learn more about him, because I want to know which sister is his mom.
I don't even know if I remember all the sisters. I know their faces, but I guess it's time for Amanda to do a rewatch.
As great as this episode was, still I was still wondering about Teddy and Owen.
Yeah.
And they just walk right on in. I'm like, oh, okay. There they are.
And it was perfect. Here I go again, gushing. Teddy seems obviously very annoyed with Owen and his decisions.
It was very I love Teddy now. It was funny. I love how she was acting. It was so funny. I was like, somebody get that woman a drink. Unless she already had a few. I mean, that was possible too.
For 6 months. So yeah, Owen's suspended for 6 months. He can still practice, but he has to like be watched.
You know what I want to see? Is him being supervised by Levi.
Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious.
Shonda, can we please make that a thing? Please and thank you.
Yeah.
That seemed to wrap up for them a little too quick. I know it's been 6 months.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was too neat and tidy.
You know what? I'm actually very happy that we didn't have to see any of that. I was like already over it at the beginning of, or at the end of season 18. I was so over this storyline just because it like, I feel like it lasted for so long. But I mean, he does get punished, which I completely agree with. He can't do what he did and get off scotch-free.
Did you say scotch-free? Scot-free? Scot-free. I was right.
Who's Scott?
I don't know.
Now you're gonna have to look up the origin to the saying.
Let's see.
I'm still saying scotch-free.
Oh, origin and examples.
Ooh, perfect.
Oh, the expression scot-free originates from the Scandinavian word skat, which means tax or payment. Huh. The word mutated into scot as the name of redistributive taxation, that was very wordy, meant to provide relief to the poor during the 10th century, and now I'm bored already. But there you go.
Oh, okay. Well, there's something every day, I guess. So at the very end of the episode, we get a very throwback hallway scene, and they're talking for a minute. I'm not really going to get into it because they're just like chatting about like, hi, who are you? Type of more conversations. Like, what are you in for? Not that. More like, what do you like? They kind of know they're the rejects of it, you know?
Bottom of the barrel.
The bottom of the barrel. Thank you. I like that way better than rejects. The bottom of the barrel, you know, the ones who don't have the best grades, but I think are very smart. I think all of these are super smart. I think they'll be super successful. I'm super excited to see it.
That's a lot of supers.
But it ends with all their pagers going off and them having to jump up. And it was just like my ears just knew what that was. I was like, woo. When's the last time you heard a pager in Grey's Anatomy? Like, I didn't even think they had them anymore. Maybe the interns do. I don't know.
The nostalgia was real this episode.
It really was. And I'm here for it. And I enjoyed it. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep going on this route, please.
Good job, Shonda.
Good job. Krista.
Krista.
Shonda didn't really have that much to do with Grey's anymore.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Shonda. Krista kind of took over. Because I think Krista's writing Station 19 too.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's doing both of them now.
The preview next week, it looks like Levi's giving the interns a talking to, and one of the things he says is, do not drop your glasses inside a patient. Like, why would you say that, Levi? It sounds like you have personal experience.
That did crack me up. I remember.
Yeah, aside from that, it looks like it's just going to be a lot more of getting to know the new interns. So, and that alone is really exciting. So,
oh yeah.
Hopefully episode 2 is just as good as episode 1 was.
I hope so. I have high hopes. I think it will.
I think 19 is the season.
Really? we just went through several years that wasn't as great.
We just went through a several year slump. We're doing a really, really good season.
Yeah. It's okay. We're still here, aren't we?
Oh, I'm going to keep watching until it's taken off the air. I can't quit now.
Yeah, no. I've invested way too much time.
I haven't invested almost 2 decades of my life. I can't give up now.
No way. I don't even care how horrible. Everyone's like, I'm going to quit watching. I'm like, I'm not going to quit watching. I've invested way too much time into the show.
Like, I will be very mad and continue watching it, but I will keep watching it.
Yep. I might skip over that season during my rewatch. We all know what season that is. All right. Well, I think that is it for Station 19 and Grey's Anatomy. I think we talked way too long about them. I'm sorry, but
you're not sorry.
No, I'm not. I could talk more. I hope you guys know that. I could talk for probably another hour on just this one episode we've already talked in length about.
And she could do it all by herself. She does not need anyone else to talk about.
So Eve's going to drop off now, and I'm just going to keep talking to you guys about my favorite quotes and parts of the show. I think y'all hate that.
So if you have more things to say, then come find us on Facebook. We are at Grey's Anatomy Grey Family Fan Club, and we're also on all the social medias.
Bye.
Bye.
Loving our content? Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to share our podcast with your family and friends. We want to continue the conversation with you. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok under Fandom Family Chats, or one of our ever-growing Facebook groups by searching Family Fan Club. We've also launched a website, Family Fan Club 2021 at wixsite.com. You can email us there and keep checking it for announcements and merch coming soon. And of course, be sure to tune in every week for new episodes discussing all your favorite shows.